The third lesson comes in chapter 2 about being positioned to face God. So God speaks to Moses and Aaron again. It says, the people of Israel are going to camp each by his own standard with the banners of their fathers' houses, and they shall camp facing the tent of meeting on every side. All right, so we have, if you were to get an aerial view of the camp, you have the 12 tribes of Israel, the tribe of Dan alongside of Asher and Naphtali on the north side, and then the other tribes come around those. And what I thought was interesting is that each person's tent, the Bible says, they shall camp facing the tent of meeting on every side. So in other words, what you would see if you were in one of those tents again is in the morning you open the front of your tent, and the front of your tent faces the presence of God, right? You would see the pillar of cloud over the tabernacle, and you would see that, and your first introduction into your day would be, wow, there's God right there, the presence of God. And that's how all of the tents were to be set up. But access to the tabernacle was complicated because God is so holy. And so he set up the Levites as a buffer and a protection so people wouldn't die by getting too close in the wrong way. And we'll get into that in a few minutes. But you have this idea of the organizing their lives on the journey around worship. So they're organized around worship. My question for you is your life, the way it's set up right now, organized around worshiping God? So what does that look like for you in the morning and when you're facing going into your day? In a study that was done recently about young America coming up in a generation, there are still quite a few who believe that there's a God. But here's the discrepancy, that most young Americans who believe there's a God believe that God is here for me. That's sort of the common thinking, the moralistic, therapeutic deism that says moralistic, okay, I'm going to try to act a certain way to gain his favor, and then my relationship with God is therapeutic for me, and that God is here for me. And so the posture could be like this. It could be, every day I'm going to face my life and my world, and I'm sort of not really facing what it means every day to see the pillar of cloud and then worship him first and foremost. And mind you, some of the days they would open the tent and the pillar of cloud would begin to move, and then they say, oh, God is moving, it's our time to move. That's how it works. So if you've accepted Christ, do you recognize when God is moving and what he's telling you to do in that particular day, right? And do you see that? And is your posture, the front of their tent, it faces the presence of God? Is that your posture as a Christian? So Jen and I were in Mexico the last couple of weeks, and it was interesting. I don't know, when you get some time off, you have sort of like your expectation. Have any of you had that? Like, we've been working hard, and now this is our time. And so we decided, like, we're going to just spend some time reading and praying without feeling rushed, and then go into the day. But I like things to be efficient, and then I like adventure. And so I had like my expectation of like, okay, we're going to go snorkeling. There's the 40-mile bike trail. Oh, and by the way, I did get some snorkeling. And have any of you ever seen a barracuda? So I'm like in the water, and all of a sudden there's a barracuda, and I'm like, this is not cool. He's kind of facing the other way, so I go like this, like to scare him away. And instead, like, barracudas don't care. They don't. Instead, the guy turns, and he just kind of faces me. And I'm like, big mistake, big mistake. You know, like, oh, man. But we had fun. But you go with certain expectations, right? The first devotion I did. So we wake up on vacation, we're ready to go, and I already felt myself. Have any of you guys ever become impatient with your wife? All right. So I found myself being impatient, like for a woman, like, let's go grab a bite to eat. And I said, okay. And then like 45 minutes later, it's like, let's just go grab a bite to eat. And so I'm sure that you ladies never get impatient with your husbands. So it's like I found myself being impatient and having this agenda on vacation. And the first facing attentive meeting, I said, okay, God, like, what do you want to say? And I opened to this passage, and it says, take nothing with you. Take nothing with you. He's sending the disciples out, right, on mission. Take nothing with you. And it's almost like God was saying to me, like, just drop all of your expectations and take each day as a gift from me. Just drop it. And what happened is I started to, like, enjoy the time with Jen, even if it means waiting a little bit here, or I started to see some of the other people at this little hotel that had a little swimming pool area, and this creepy guy with long white hair, Ash was his name, and he starts talking to people, like, and it's like, hey, leave them alone. They're on vacation. They don't want to talk. But when God said, take nothing, like, just take nothing with you, all of a sudden I started to see people through different eyes. And so I started engaging with Ash, and then one night we're having this conversation, and he's sharing and everything, and I shared a little bit on my perspective on things, and we got into talking about God, and he's like, I've never really understood how you can have how you can know God. Like, I understand. And we got into this really deep conversation about that. And then I saw Randy and Natalie from North Carolina. We got in conversation with them about God, and then a British couple, talked to them about, and then our taxi driver, David, has a tattoo of his baby. Oh, whose baby is that? And he's like, that's my son, his name is Jesus. And I'm like, let's talk about Jesus, and then give him a big tip, and then he's like tearing up and hugs, and like, it just kind of changed my perspective on the vacation. And so what I'm saying to you is that if you set yourself up to face God, right from the beginning, then you're not just wasting your time in the wilderness, but you're on adventure, right? It's like this adventure. Like, what is God doing today? And that's such a beautiful illustration of the camp being set up to face the very presence of God.